Hello people of YouTube. I am back. It's been 2 years since I uploaded anything on this channel. So I'm going to do something I've done in the past because I feel like making a video again. And I'm going to do a record, like cool records I got in my collection. I haven't done that in a while. The last time I did one of these was 2017. And I'd say the collection's grown quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. My setup's changed behind me quite drastically since the last time I filmed the video. Kind of looks more adult now because I have a big desk and that means they're adult. Besides the point here, I'm glad to be back making videos here. Don't know how long I'll do it, not very consistent with this. But let's go ahead and get started with my cool records. Okay, this is one I literally just picked up yesterday. I got it at Target actually. It's the first record or vinyl, same thing, I've ever picked up from a retail store. I've only gone to record stores, or I guess Amazon's retail, but that's online. This is an Elton John Greatest Hits record. I just watched Rocket Man, which I thought was decent. I didn't really like the musical aspect of it, but that's a different subject. So anyways, if we take one of the records out of here, you can see that it, oh that's nice, that just ripped on video. So maybe as you can tell, the sleeves aren't very well made because let me show you what just happened. As I was taking it out of its sleeve, it ripped. So be careful, I guess. And I even had that in another sleeve within the sleeve, so maybe that broke it. But anyway, as you can see, it's a nice blue record, nice blue vinyl, matches the cover. So I definitely like colored vinyl. It's always a cool thing, and I've actually been liking Elton John a lot recently, so having a greatest hits record is not bad at all because I get to hear the good stuff. I hope to get into him a little more and try to find stuff that aren't just the hits from him, but for now I'm gonna stick with this. So cool record. So this is pretty much just records that I find cool or albums that I listen to a lot. This isn't necessarily my favorite music ever, because a lot of my favorite music I don't have on records. So I just kind of want to clarify that first before I get into this. This is just cool records and vinyl. This isn't like favorite albums. Alright, moving on. I have the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. There's not really anything special about this record. It's a normal black record, so I'm not going to go ahead and take it on the case right now. But anyway, this is arguably one of the best albums of all time, according to many people. And it's definitely one of my favorite albums ever. I think the songwriting from Brian Wilson on this record is absolutely phenomenal. And a lot of people don't know, this is where a lot of the Beatles stuff got inspired from. There was kind of a back and forth between Brian Wilson and Paul McCartney, and they've said it before. So it's a little cool background, but if you don't have this record or haven't listened to Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, you should, because the Beach Boys are mostly just thought of some surf rock band from California that didn't do much other than surf in USA, but this album, super complex, very artistic, so I love it. This is also in no particular order. I'm just kind of going along. A lot of these are my favorite albums ever, but again, like I said, not all of them are my favorite. Anyway, speaking of favorite albums ever, I have to go with Weezer Pinkerton. This album is amazing. It's a little different from their first debut album, the Blue Album. This has one of my favorite Weezer songs, if not my favorite Weezer song, as in Pink Triangle. I absolutely love that song. It's about an interesting topic. As some of you who've listened to it may know, definitely check that song out if you're a Weezer fan, haven't heard it, but if you're a Weezer fan, I can't imagine you haven't heard Pink Triangle. Other songs in this one I like a lot are Get You, Why Bother, The Good Life, and Butterfly. Butterfly is a nice little simple song that Rivers Cuomo wrote, and I actually enjoyed a lot. Next, I have Mac DeMarco's Salad Days. Mac DeMarco is one of the first modern artists I got into. I'm not really into much modern music, but I started to get into a lot of more indie music because of this man. Salad Days is one of my favorite records by him. It has a lot of good tracks on here. For example, the title track, and then Go Easy. I really like that song a lot. Okay, this is coming from another one of my favorite bands of all time, probably actually my second favorite band of all time, and that's Nirvana, and this is Nevermind. Another band I actually didn't get into till I think I was 18, and I'm 21 now, in case you wanted to know. but I really love Nirvana, which isn't saying much because everyone does. That pretty much, there's very few people who don't like Nirvana. They're one of the biggest bands of all time. And this album right here is definitely one of the most influential records ever made, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that one. Smells Like Teen Spirit is played constantly on the radio today still, and so are songs like In Bloom and Come As You Are. Every song on here I pretty much like, so I'm not going to name them. My favorite, though, is going to be kind of weird to a lot of people. I love Lounge Act, and that's really not a favorite of a lot of Nirvana fans, but that's definitely one of my favorites, so I'd tell you to go listen to Nevermind, but you probably already have. So coming in next is another one of my favorite bands, and that is Oasis, and this is definitely maybe their debut album from 1994. One of the best debut albums I've ever heard. It's probably my favorite album from them. I know What's the Story, Morning Glory is considered a better album by most people and sales-wise, but I really think that this album shows a little bit more of what Oasis was in their early years, and I kind of like the songwriting a bit more on here just because it just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It almost feels like he was writing more for live shows rather than writing songs to write songs, if that makes sense. My favorite on here is probably Supersonic. That song is great. The story behind it is really awesome. He wrote it pretty quickly in the studio. But again, this is another one of those albums that I pretty much like every song on. There's not a bad one, and there's not much that I'd take off of them. So if you haven't checked out Oasis, they're not that big here in America. You definitely should check them out. I think they have a bad reputation here, and they shouldn't. Another one of my favorite bands of all time, the Beatles, and this is probably the greatest record ever. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It really started to shift music entirely, very experimental. They were able to get away with a lot of it because they weren't touring, so this is one of the most interesting records I own, just listening to the transition that they were going through and what this was about to start. My favorite song on here, honestly, is probably She's Leaving Home. I don't know if a lot of people like that song. It's a little slower than most, but I just love that song. I think it's really beautiful and one of my favorite Beatles songs. So here we have the Monkees record. I'd say they're in my top 10 favorite bands of all time, but they're definitely not my favorite. I love a lot of their songs. Although they're considered by many to not be a real band because they were formed for a television show, as a lot of you may know. But this is the greatest hits record, and it is orange. This time I didn't rip the sleeves, taking it out of the sleeve, so that's nice. It's a pretty nice orange vinyl. The Monkees are a great band. I think they had a lot of people writing very good songs for them, especially like Last Train to Clarksville, Daydream Believer. And there's a smaller song that's not usually a hit. Actually, it's not a hit. It's called What Am I Doing Hanging Around? I really love that song. Not on this record, but I thought I might as well shout it out if you haven't seen it already. Almost dropped this. Monkees' greatest hits record, always fun to listen to. Really love their stuff. I saved my last two favorite records pretty much ever, and this is probably going to disappoint some people because this band is pretty hated, and I do understand why, but I don't hate them. So this is Green Day's Dookie. I've always loved this album, whether it gets hate or not. Actually, I really don't feel like this album gets hate at all. I think it's considered one of the best 90s records by most people. It definitely changed things. It was a shift from the grunge movement to the pop punk movement, and this is an album I don't hate a single song on at all. I actually would have every one of them on my playlist. Basket Case is my favorite song ever. Again, that might surprise some people because it's not a lot of people's favorite song ever, but it's definitely mine. I've loved it since I was a kid, and that is why this is in this top 10 list. Alrighty. This is also a fairly recent record I bought. It came offline, and it's another Green Day record, in case you're wondering, but this is probably arguably my second favorite or my first favorite album from them, and that is Green Day's Insomniac. Now, this is the 25th anniversary release. I had just a regular pressing of the vinyl before, or the record beforehand, but I saw this come out for the 25th anniversary, and it was coming out around my birthday, so I asked for this and got it. And what's cool about this is, first of all, I don't know if you can tell, but there's definitely some reflective, I don't know what that's called at all, but it's like almost like a rainbow coming off of there. I don't know what to call it, to be honest, but you can see on the back too. And it's also a little bit of extra stuff on here compared to the original version I have of this album, because there's live versions that weren't released before. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what these records look like because they are also colored. This is the side 3, so this isn't the normal album, but it is cool, and that's why I'm going to show you it. So as you can see, just normal kind of colored vinyl on the front, but then on the back, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. Let me see what I can do here. There's a whole bunch of printing because there isn't anything actually on this side. So they just went a whole bunch of patterns and cool drawings and stuff like that. I don't really know what to call it because it's kind of all over the place. But yeah, this is my favorite record in my collection. I absolutely love this album as well. Every song on here I listen to all the time. It's kind of prime Green Day in my opinion. Before, I don't really like too much after Warning. I'm not a huge fan of Warning either. I kind of like their first 3 albums the most, or their first 3 real studio albums, meaning Dookie through Nimrod. So yeah, this is my favorite, and that's gonna wrap up all of that. Alright, that is gonna wrap up that video. So I hope you get a good taste of what kind of music I like and what kind of albums I collect, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So thanks for watching, for like the 25 people that probably will, but maybe more of you will watch. Maybe I'll get a nice 1,000 view video. That'd be nice. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.